6 seconds, right?
Okay, Madam City Clerk, you ready?
Yes, Mayor, have 1 minute, but
We have 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is December 12th, 2023. And like to also announce that tonight is the last meeting of 2023. So it's going to be a good meeting, to say the least. Before we get started, I'd like to call upon Councilmember Goldstein to please give the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise and face the flag if you are able.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. And then Madam City Clerk, if you can please take roll.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Councilmember Andrews. Present. Councilmember Bonilla Jr.
Present.
Councilmember Goldstein.
Here.
Councilmember Roach. Here. Councilmember Syrup.
Present.
Councilmember Sermenio. Mayor Salinas.
Present, thank you. Before I proceed, I just wanted to announce that this evening, we started on time, but we're gonna move the agenda around a little bit so that the items on the agenda match the agenda items posted in the newspaper so that, when we get to those items, they are according to the times that were reported in the newspaper. So so we will be moving stuff around on the agenda. We will cover the agenda, but we're just moving stuff around. Okay, next I'd like to ask City Attorney Lawson to give, or City Attorney's Office to give a closed session report.
Good evening, Mayor. How's my audio?
Yes, we can hear you.
The council did convene in closed session at 4:30 and with all members present and no public speakers. And please refer to the closed session posted agenda. The council discussed a matter involving security and gave direction to staff. And then the council discussed two pending workers' compensation matters involving a former employee, Paulson, current employee, Chaplin, and gave direction to staff. Otherwise, there are no reportable announcements from closed session. And that concludes your report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to, we do have a special presentation this evening. It is to acknowledge Arbor Day. And what I'd like to do is have Mayor Pro Tem Andrews, if you can hold that up. I'll read the proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, provide environmental benefits, and beautify our community, they are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the city of Hayward and the Hayward Area Recreation Park District and the Hayward Unified School District are promoting Arbor Day as a day in which we can reflect upon our trees and encourage all residents to join in this celebration by planting a tree of their own. And whereas the city of Hayward has been recognized as a Tree City USA for 34 consecutive years by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Now, therefore, I, Mark Salinas, Mayor of the City of Hayward, do hereby proclaim July 22, 2023 as National Arbor Day. I think that deserves a big round of applause. Yeah, and then we have, I know we do have one of the directors of the hardboard here, Director Sarah Lamnin. She is here, and because Sarah Lamnin is here, would you like to take a picture with the Arbor Day proclamation? And would you like to take that picture with me? Is that okay? We just need someone to take a picture with a camera.
What? Hello, Mr. Mayor.
How-
Oh, hey.
There you go.
All right, like the official holding up the
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. I'll tell you what, you can actually take that to hard, and then we got more paper, we'll print more.
Oh, but with only recycled.
Yeah, with only recycled paper.
Okay.
Exactly, yes. Okay. All righty. Next, I want to move to public comment. I have 3 public comment cards. And I don't see, let me see. And then I do see one person online. I'm gonna, I'll call the person, there are 2 people online. I'm gonna go to the 2 people online and then I'll call the cards. First person is, I believe it's, is it Ariana Castellanos?
Hi, City Council. Yes, that's me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. I'm a Hayward homeowner and resident, and I'm an alum from CSU East Bay's Masters in Social Work program. Last week, a lot of community members demanded a resolution for the ceasefire in Gaza. It's our understanding that the international policy in the council handbook is why you can't write one. We also understand you can amend the policy and then pass a resolution. We also know the city is revisiting its investment policy when it returns, and we hope to see our demands reflected in that conversation. Have a good break, but you have homework and we'll be back. In the meantime, we'll continue to do our part for Palestine, and we hope that you'll do yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Alejandro Paso from Bike Hayward.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so thank you. So I'm part of Bike Hayward and also the board, the vice chair of Bike East Bay. I live a block away from Mission Boulevard, and right now I just wanted to express the deep concerns of our Hayward and East Bay biking community about the realignment of the East Bay Greenway between Hayward Park and South Hayward. There wasn't much public outreach about this realignment, and yes, last week the Alameda City Commission approved the realignment with 2 conditions. That new realignment includes the requirement for physically separated or protected bike lanes along the new route, which is through Whitman and Silva Street, as well as Grand. And also the City of Hayward works with an active transportation working group to continue the studies of the East Bay Greenway routes. So we just don't think that the approved alignment will fit these class 4 bike lanes, and even if the one-sided parking is removed. So due to this condition, along with the list of concerns that we have with this alignment on Whitman, we want to urge the city to preserve the alignment as proposed in October 2022 along Mission Boulevard instead of further delaying the project, which has seen 7 realignments in Hayward over a 2-year period. While the rest of the East Bay Greenway continues to move forward in other cities and in unincorporated areas. So we created a petition which has almost reached 400 signatures just within a week. And then we emailed that to the Hayward City Council. And then we also wrote a blog post detailing our concerns, like lack of accessibility for the residents that live east of the railway tracks. It's very hard to get to Whitman Street. And then the 2 pedestrian bridges don't have a ramp. They have stairs, so it's not wheelchair or bike friendly. So we have a long list of concerns, and then we emailed that to City Council. So we really urge you to carefully study the new route alignment and try not to delay this project any longer. But thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to inside the chamber, Carlos Gutierrez.
Mayor?
Esteemed council members, thank you so much for the opportunity to address you this evening. Tonight, I'm representing, as a board member, the Golden Gate Boys Choir. We are a music school committed to the tradition of boy choiring training. We offer extensive instruction in musical skills and choral performance for boys and young men in the East Bay area, which 50% of our members are residents of Hayward. The choir school develops vocal skills, knowledge of music theory, and repertoire, which is proudly showcased in local, national, and international venues. The boys are preparing within the next few days to go to Rome to an extensive tour and begin the year singing for the Pope. Last week, let me just move to my second point here. Last week, the invitation to perform at the opening of the Mount Eden Mansion was rescinded. The City of Hayward did not approve the music selections that our choir director, Mr. Meyer, who is a resident of your city, submitted for review. Despite several exchanges on the part of our choir director and that of our president with officials at Park and Recreation, we had to cancel the performance. We were very disappointed for the boys and for the choir families. Practically speaking, there was a suggestion to change the language if we could not change the music, which, looking across the council board here, I can guess that between all of you, you speak 10 to 15 languages. So just changing the language was quite silly as a recommendation. Practically speaking, there was no time to learn anything that was acceptable to them, which is hard, for the performance. Songs that do not mention Christmas, which is quite ironic. I walk in here and you have a big Christmas tree right in your foyer there. Speaking on principle, Mr. Meyer did not think that the city government should be telling us what songs we can sing or not sing. He included an equal number of winter and secular songs, such as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, for example, and Christmas carols. They did not state in the invitation that was extended to the Golden Gate Boys Choir that we could not sing Christmas songs at the light up the season. This is an indication of whoever made this decision, of the low esteem and low expectation they have of your citizens here in Hayward. Language, and you cannot use Christmas in those songs was quite silly, ridiculous, and again, low expectation of the citizens and council members of this city of beautiful Hayward. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I apologize. I don't know what that noise was. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Next is Bishop Robert Lopez. And we're still working out the kinks, so if you get gonged, don't take it personal.
I might start chanting. Yeah. Good evening, board, city council folk. Blessings be upon you this night. My name is Bishop Robert Lopez. I am the outgoing president of the Eden Area Interfaith Council. For those who are listening to this and are not aware of the Interfaith Council, it was formed in December of 2015 in response to an incident of religious bigotry towards 3 American Muslims at Lake Chabot in Castro Valley. Representatives of 10 local congregations met at Congregation Share-Me and decided to direct a community response. They sponsored a walk and rallied to protest the incident and to affirm the unity of a diverse religious community. Hundreds attended the event and represented Christians, Muslims, Jewish, Unitarian Universalist congregation, and community members and leaders. Since then, the Eden Area Interfaith has sponsored community education forums about Islam and Judaism and Christianity and Baha'i, participated in joint community service projects, and the group is continuing to evolve and continuing to grow and to develop. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Stephanie Spencer.
Thank you. We're all standing up here since we're all members of the Interfaith Council. So Honorable Hayward City Council, thank you so much for this opportunity to work with you. In response to the community outcry last week, as we mentioned then, we have pulled together an offer to help you connect with interfaith groups in the Hayward area. Because you're elected to represent everyone that lives in Hayward, we want to help you connect to all of the different faiths. And we know that the current violence in Israel and Palestine affects local people of faith, Israeli Americans, Palestinian Americans, people who have connections to those places, and other Jews, Muslims, people of faith, people of no faith, of different ethnic backgrounds. Because there is prejudice against religions, against ethnic groups. And we think it's important to understand how Hayward residents may be experiencing prejudice and hate because of these things. And the conflict in the Middle East also brings up moral issues, and faith communities are grappling with those as well, and can also share their faith perspectives. So we invite you to affirm the value of human life and stand in solidarity with the diverse communities in Hayward, and promote constructive dialogue as a way of reaching understanding that can lead to peace and justice in our communities. And such a stand is consistent with your current commitment to being an equitable, inclusive, and compassionate community, and holding no room for racism. And we recognize that when we all recognize suffering, injustices, and loss of all human beings, we express solidarity and build inclusive communities. We also invite you to use the network and experience of the Interfaith Council to engage with faith communities of many ethnic backgrounds. And also, we can help you gain insight into the nuances of the current conflict. Not any one person represents all of the perspectives in any particular faith, but we can help you navigate some of those things as well. And understand that the dynamics in this conflict may inspire intimidation or violence in our communities. And we also invite you to engage as individuals in looking for ways that you can support morally congruent policies and political decisions that reflect the morals and the values of the religious groups in Hayward. And we stand ready to assist you in this divisive time and in any time. We have spent 8 years talking to each other, standing together, and recognizing our differences, and moving forward based on the strength of our common concerns and values. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And then next is Julie Greenfield. Actually, can you, if you hand everything over to the city clerk, she'll distribute to us, please. Thank you. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And then next, I don't know if she wants to talk, come up. Sarah Lamnan? Okay.
Good evening. I am a member of the Interfaith Council, but I also obviously wear lots of hats in this community, and I'll appreciate our former colleague for his work on trees as well. And just sort of checking in, saying hello again, and letting you know that in addition to work with the Interfaith Council, I continue to work across different faiths to work on perhaps a consensus statement that we can bring to our federal legislators. Candlelight Vigil that'll be held next week, an Interfaith Solidarity Community Service Project that will support South Hayward Parish, and open to other ideas about how do we work together as a community to raise the issues that our community is raising. So I appreciate that keeping the divisiveness out of the council chambers and really working together in solidarity to get productive legislation passed. So thank you to those of you who've signed on to that in the past, and I remain your colleague in trying to move things forward productively in this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Al Mendel.
So Al Mendel, former council member and Hayward resident. Please grant this council the serenity to accept the things that you cannot change. The courage to change the things that you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, I watched the meeting last week where the council was encouraged to take action on an issue halfway around the world. And while it is tragic what's happening over there, the sad reality is that there is no resolution, no referral, no action that this body can take that will save lives over there. It is sad but true. Have the serenity to accept what you cannot change. Where you can make a difference in people's lives, where you can save lives, is here in Hayward. In fact, that's your job. You should be working on making Hayward streets safer, because that will save lives here. You should be working on making sure that our water remains clean and healthy, because that will save lives here. You should work on improving our emergency response, our preparation for the next disaster, because that will save lives here. You should work on building housing so the people who are in their cars at night or on the streets have a safe place to sleep, because that will save lives here. Have the courage to work on the issues where you can make a difference. And the wisdom, Councilmember Sirop, to know the difference. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't have any more cards. I don't see anybody else online. So I'd like to move on to city manager's comments.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I had a couple of comments this evening. From our Hayward Public Library, we are pleased to announce a new series of programs that were recently launched in support of our senior residents. The library is partnering with Spectrum Community Services to have representatives available in the foyer of the downtown library on the second Tuesday of each month for the next 6 months. Spectrum Community Services goal is to enhance the quality of life for older adults and residents that are low income in Alameda County. The representatives will answer questions and accept applications for the LIHEAP Energy and LIHWAP Water federal aid programs, and assistance will be available in English and Spanish. In addition, new series of monthly programs presented by Legal Assistance for Seniors addressing legal and health topics was also recently started. The first program, Medicare Changes for 2024, took place last week. Going forward, programs will be offered on the second Thursday of every month at 2 p.m. in the Community Learning Center on the third floor of the downtown library. Topics such as consumer frauds, scams targeting seniors, how to get help with healthcare costs, how to age in place, hiring and working with a caregiver, basic housing rights for seniors, scams targeting older veterans, and navigating Medicare for LGBT beneficiaries are planned. The next program is scheduled for Thursday, January 11th at 2 p.m. and is called Protect Your Home Equity, PACE Loans, Reverse Mortgages, and Other Common Risks. So thank you to our library staff for the great programming coming up for our senior residents. And from our Hayward Police Department District Command, for the last 5 weeks on Fridays and Saturdays, our district command personnel set up a table in front of the Target and the north end of Hayward to collect toys and money for the annual toy drive. In addition, they handed out flyers with a QR code to accept donations to purchase gifts from Amazon. Approximately $2,000 was raised and countless toys were donated, allowing us to provide 130 families in Hayward with toys for children ranging in age from infants to 18 years old. 45 bicycles and helmets were also donated and given to families. There was such a large number of toys donated that in addition to the 130 families that received toys, we were able to give toys to some of our other community partners, including Anchor Pediatric Hospice, George Mark Children's House, Casa de Madras, a domestic violence shelter for women and children, and the Raising Leaders program run by Davita Scott. So I just want to say thank you to our Hayward Police Department personnel for the outstanding charitable work. And I know we've also got a lot of other programs going on, our Adopt a Family program through HARD, and the fire department toy drive as well. So just kudos to all of our staff who just give generously during this time of year and to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just great big shout out to, the firefighters, the police department, staff. I think we've covered our ground, I think, this season to make sure kids are going to have fun and that families are being served. So please tell everyone on your staff, thank you on behalf of the council, for sure. Thank you. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna jump around on the agenda this evening. Next, I'd like to move to our legislative business, item number 16, which is the Palace Poker Casino transfer of partial ownership of the Palace Poker Casino per the Hayward Card Club regulations located at 22821 Mission Boulevard, and finding that the project is statutorily exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Catherine Aganon and Pamela Roberts, owners and applicants. And this report is going to come to us by way of the Development Services Director, Sarah Bowser. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to forego staff report and just go straight to council for questions. So we have our Director of Development Services here. And let me see if council has any questions. I don't see any. I do see Councilmember Julie Roach.
Thank you. I want thank you. I wanted to ask, because it said in the report that if Caitlin Roberts, well, she has to pass an extensive background check. So what happens if she doesn't? I mean, I have no reason to believe she won't do it, but I'm just wondering, what does that do to the issuing of this transfer?
Well, it's pending. It's conditional upon that. So if she doesn't, then the ownership won't transfer.
Okay, and we'll
it's that
just
simple.
monitor that if, okay, because it sounded sort of extent. Okay, that's all I had to, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Bonilla. Well, actually, did you hit the button or did you just motion to me? Because on the, oh, Councilmember Sermini, okay, go ahead, Councilmember Bonilla. I was just keeping track of the board here.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to move the item.
That's okay. Well, actually, I need to first open up for public comment. and then I'll come back. So opening up to public comment, is there anybody online or in the chamber that would like to make a public comment? Seeing none. close
Mayor, I
public-
just wanted to let you know that Ms. Roberts is online
Oh.
on Zoom if any council members had questions, but if not, I just wanted to highlight that she is here.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Seeing none, I'd like to return to the council, moved by if there are no questions, moved by Council Member Bonilla, seconded by Council Member Zermeño. Madam City Clerk, if you can take the roll.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Junior.
Aye.
Councilmember Goldstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Roach.
Aye.
Councilmember Sarah.
Yes.
Councilmember Zermeño. Mayor Salinas.
Yes, and it passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item number 17, which is the LB 23-045 Public Safety Committee adopt a resolution establishing the Council Public Safety Committee, dissolving the Police Department Community Advisory Panel, and consolidating the Council Airport Committee with the Council Infrastructure Committee. Ooh, say that 10 times. And I believe we have a report coming from our city manager on this.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Quickly go through our presentation. On October 24th, Council directed staff to return with a resolution to establish the Council Public Safety Committee and to dissolve the Police Community Advisory Panel. Excuse me. Council also requested that staff review the structure of all the council committees and identify possible opportunities for consolidation. So staff is proposing, consistent with some of the comments made at the last meeting, that the Public Safety Committee be comprised of 3 council members like the other council subcommittees and meet quarterly. The city manager's office will be responsible for overseeing the administration of the first 2 meetings, and staff will evaluate then how the administration of the committee should alternate between police, fire, and the city manager's office. The police and fire departments will be responsible for preparing staff reports and presentation. Staff has also evaluated the existing committee structure and recommends dissolving the airport committee and moving items heard by the airport committee to the infrastructure committee. And then currently the infrastructure committee meets quarterly, so we would propose to meet every other month bi-monthly, so that there are enough meetings to hear all of the items between the airport committee and the infrastructure committee. And then we would propose that we alternate meeting locations between City Hall and the executive airport to allow for airport tenants to attend that meeting as needed. So next slide shows, here's just the current committee meeting schedule. And then the following slide is simply the proposed meeting schedule, which shows now the quarterly meetings of the proposed Public Safety Committee, and then the bi-monthly on the 4th Wednesday Infrastructure Committee meetings. The next slide just shows a high-level list of a brainstorm that we had about potential agenda items for the Public Safety Committee. I'm not going to read through all of these, but I'm happy to answer questions about any of these. And I believe our fire chief and acting police chief are both here as well and can answer questions about any of these. But these would be potential agenda topics for the first year of meetings. And then we would love to hear any feedback about any of these that might be priorities for the council in the first year, or if we're missing any agenda items. Next slide just talks a little bit about the transparency and public participation features of the new Public Safety Committee. It will be governed by the Brown Act and will adhere to the same public meeting structure as all of our current council committee meetings. Agendas and staff reports will be published 72 hours in advance. Meetings will be open and accessible to the public and will have an opportunity for public comment. We will create an interested parties list as we do for our other committees and for council agendas, and provide meeting reminders and agendas to that interested parties list. We will propose to start meetings after 5:30 p.m. to allow for more public participation and attendance. And again, we'll have hybrid meetings so that there is a remote participation option for members of our community. And with that, the next steps on the last slide is that if the council adopts the resolution this evening, the mayor will work to adjust committee appointments by early January. We would propose to have our first Public Safety Committee meeting in February, And then the combined infrastructure committee would meet in its new format in February. Additionally, we thought it would be useful to, as part of the strategic roadmap retreat that the council holds every February, to have a conversation with council about the work plans for the various council committees. So carving out some time during that work session for that discussion and for any, agenda topics that might be relevant that we haven't considered. So with that, we are here to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. First question is coming to us by Councilmember Syra.
Thank you, Mayor. Curious about AB 481, the military equipment policy. That will be primarily informational and then surface to the entire council?
So my understanding, and I think Chief Matthews can talk to this as well, is that we have to have a community meeting. So I think the council committee could count as the community meeting, and then the council as a whole would then adopt the annual list. But am I speaking correctly? Okay, perfect. Chief Matthews just gave the thumbs.
Okay, great. I mean, that format makes sense to me. I just wanted to make sure it was coming before the full council. And then I understand in the report, there was also discussion about airport ground leases being removed from the agenda to save time on infrastructure. I'm open to that, although I'd prefer to see those items be moved to consent, just in case there is a particular lease that tenants or users of our airport might want to discuss and have the opportunity to discuss. And also just want to emphasize, and then I guess I'm curious, will SkyWest remain an agenda item?
Yes, definitely.
Great, thank you. Do we have a description for the scope of the Public Safety Committee yet, or will that be something that gets hammered out?
Yeah, I think it would be, we could probably propose that at the first committee meeting, but just wanted to get, authority tonight to form the committee and then put that work together.
Understood, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Zermeño.
Thank you. I am very interested in the council's role in emergency, so it will be something that part of the committee at the moment. I'm not sure, except trying to calm
Correct.
people down.
Yeah, yes. So that is one of the proposed agenda topics for the committee, is the council's role in an emergency.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councilmember Roach.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to say I really appreciated the research into looking at other cities. I think there was 13 various cities to see how they were handling this. And I like those kind of comparisons. So thank you. I would like to see some topics that are a little more urgent and practical, it's the Public Safety Committee. So I would like to see a topic that, tackling businesses, break-ins and damage to property, because I think the whole point of creating this Public Safety Committee was to really tackle items that are immediate and urgent in the community. So I would like to see that, because a lot of the topics here are kind of overbroad sort of reporting on things. I would hope that the committee would take on immediate urgent actions that are needed, which I would think that's what the committee would be looking for.
One thing I might suggest is, having a standing agenda topic for, say, emergent issues or chief report. So like if there is in particular, crimes or a slew of business break-ins that we could then, similar to like city manager comments on this agenda for the council meeting, that would allow either of the chiefs to provide an update on emergent situations. So I think we could structure the agenda like that.
Yeah, that would be helpful to me. So that public safety was literally dealing with public safety on a quarterly basis and not just some reporting topics, like I said. The other question I had is, what did the CAP have to say about this? They must know we're making this decision. And what was the feedback from the CAP?
So there was a little bit of discussion in the staff report. Let me just pull up my notes. I think mostly they were concerned, just ensuring that there will still be community input for the police department. So talking about that, that if the Public Safety Committee really wants to hear from the community, we'll still have to do a lot of outreach and, posting of information. And, I think a lot of what the CAP hears is they get answers to their own sort of like emergent issues. And so, sort of understanding if they had those emergent issues, who should they go to get responses?
Okay.
So, and then I know one CAP member indicated she was going to send more comments, but it doesn't appear that she did. So
Okay.
I think that, I don't know, Chief Matthews, was there anything that I missed from that discussion?
Good evening. The only thing that I would add is that one of the conversations that we've had is, even though the CAP in its current format is not going to meet. The engagement with community members is going to be an ongoing endeavor for the members of the police department. So we're not going to stop that work just because we're shifting gears from a structural standpoint. We're happy to sit down and have conversations with anyone about anything. So that work will continue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Bonilla.
Thank you, Mayor. And thanks for this report. City Manager, I'm really excited to see this Public Safety Committee get going. I guess any heartburn over going bi-monthly instead of quarterly? Because at first I was thinking monthly, but I'm like, maybe that's too frequent. Quarterly doesn't seem frequent enough for a topic this big in our city. So what about bi-monthly?
I don't necessarily think that's, we hadn't talked about it. I don't think it would be hugely impactful. I mean, I think it just depends on the topics and how much preparation is needed in terms of staff reports. But if we can balance the agendas so that there's not a lot of like research or staff reports that are needed, I think that could be fine. So, but I'm seeing Chief Matthews nod. I don't see Chief Contreras yet, but we can talk about that. And it shouldn't be an issue if the council wants to have it bi-monthly.
Excellent. That would be my recommendation. And I'll save my next comment for the comment period. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to know when there is an item such as reducing crime by urban design, how would that work if is it gonna hit infrastructure and hit public safety, or we're just gonna do one?
I think it depends on the project necessarily. I mean, I think, probably more relevant to the Public Safety Committee. But I think having other staff from, planning or other departments participate, or, potentially Public Works participating in that discussion. But I think if it's a topic that is of interest, and you see it on the agenda, I think any council member could also request that it comes to the Infrastructure Committee as well. It doesn't have to just go to Public Safety.
Okay, thank you. I'll reserve my comments. Thanks.
Okay, so moving on, I'll go to open up for public comment. We have TJ from Hayward Concerned Citizens.
Hi, yes, I'm TJ. I just wanted to chime in and say I do agree about using this forum for potentially emergent matters. I think Councilmember Roche hit it right on the nail. I'd like to see things addressed, such as specific issues that come up in our general community, like the homeless. There's some aggressive homeless folks at the Foothill Safeway, cat converter stealings. That's always a very popular one. Patterns of auto theft, etc. So I hope those will be addressed. I also wanted to know who informs the mayor who to select for the 3 committee members. Do they volunteer? Does the mayor draw random names? I'm just wondering. So I want to see open-minded council on the team. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to come back to council and Councilmember Syra.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I'd start my comment just to help address TJ's question. So the mayor, in collaboration with the city manager, decide appointments, and then according to our most recent council handbook change, the council confirms those appointments via a consent item on the agenda. I just would make my comments short and sweet here. Want to thank staff for the work and research that went into preparing this report so swiftly. I want to thank Councilmember Bonilla for really championing this idea and putting forward a committee that hasn't existed in our city's history before, that I think goes a long way to address a lot of what people were looking for when it came to developing the CAP. And I also want to thank the Community Services Commission. I know this isn't the exact form they wanted this body to take, but I think it was through their advocacy and a little bit of their agitation that we actually created some meaningful change in our city. So I just wanted to acknowledge them as well. I wanted to flag that I believe we'll have some comments coming from a member of the CAP in review of the committee. There was a request that some exit interviews be conducted from the members on CAP, but it sounds like if they're not interested in providing those comments, it's not really our responsibility to chase them down. And I would be supportive of the new Public Safety Committee being bi-monthly, as long as it's informed by how many items we have on the agenda. So if there is that much to talk about, which it sounds like there may be, then absolutely. And if not, quarterly could work too. So I just want us to be flexible according to what we have to discuss. But otherwise, I'm happy to support this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to Councilmember Bonilla for bringing this solution really to what our commission brought forward to us. I am still a little concerned about some voices getting lost, given that the cap is dissolved and the format it's coming in, but I'm hoping that there will be a hefty public comment period during these committees and tracked appropriately, but I'm a little bit concerned about that. I also am a little concerned about the airport being combined with infrastructure. I think that's a very meaty committee, given what's going on with SkyWest and other things. So I think the infrastructure committee is going to have to get up to speed on what happens there. That's going to take some runway. So, but I understand the need to dissolve, and appreciate you all looking at the number of committees that we have, making sure that people are not overloaded. Reducing crime by design, I just want to make sure that that doesn't get confused or lost, and that should be a priority for our city. Also, I do have some other agenda items that I'm interested in seeing if we do form this committee, and it will be regional updates on human trafficking, catalytic converters, shoplifting, and seeing if it's an impact of seeing if there is a ring in relation to the shoplifting, or if there's something more that's happening there, or if there's something going on with media. I don't know, but I would like to see some data around what's happening. Also would like to see how can we make HART 24 hours. If we're going to have a committee on public safety, then we should figure it out in this committee. Also would like to see CSOs downtown. If we're going to be taking a stronger approach to our downtown, we're going to need support in making sure our downtown feels safe. So I hope this committee can figure that out as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bonilla.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, thank you for the report, City Manager, Police Chief, and Fire Chief. I also appreciate my colleagues, their support of this, of developing a public safety committee. I appreciate Councilmember Syrup's support for going bi-monthly. I think we just heard from Councilmember Andrews. There's a lot on the community's mind as it relates to this. I think this is going to be, very quickly a very important committee. I do appreciate the transparency that the committee is going to be providing to the community. I hope that the community, looks at what's on the agenda. I hope that they look at what's been proposed, and I encourage them to reach out to the city manager or to any of us on council with what they would like to see this committee. I think this is a committee in response to the community saying that they want us to continue to prioritize public safety, and that's exactly what we're doing by bringing this to the purview of council on a bi-monthly basis. So just really appreciate that. Appreciate, like I said, the community really getting engaged here and letting us know what they want to hear about, because they can come to the meetings, they can watch the meetings, and they can get their issues addressed by the people who have the ability to affect those changes. I love the idea of having a standing police chief and fire chiefs update in the meeting to address, emergent issues. The idea of combining the infrastructure and airport committee, I think it does make sense. They're kind of all under the leadership of our public works director. I think it's going to make those agendas a bit heavier, but we're all here to do the heavy lift, and I think it makes sense. So if it's okay with the mayor, I would love to move this item.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Bonilla, seconded by Councilmember Syrup. Councilmember Zermeño.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, I do love the idea of a public service commission. I think it's fine. We are answering the residents' call for this. Bi-monthly, in my mind, sounds better because there is a lot to take care of as far as public safety goes. So that's a kudos to our staff, to our two chiefs for coming up with this idea. I will support that particular part of the staff report, but I will not support the part that deals with the solving of the airport committee. And I feel that because I don't want our airport to become an afterthought. Last I heard, our municipal airport is the busiest general aviation airport of the 82 generation airports in the United States. That's big. That's huge. It's been with us since 1947. It will keep growing. There is a there are Skyway projects that need to be looked at. There's an expansion of the main runway. There is an internship program that is beginning to be built. We're working on international flights into and out of our airport. That's tremendous. In my mind, that's huge. And if my other point is that there are possible talks of aviation classes with Chabot College and ROP. So the airport is big. It's always important to us. We have many residents who complain about it, so we need to take care of them. Now, so I have two recommendations. One recommendation is that perhaps because we've done so well in homelessness issues and housing issues, that the one committee that can be dissolved is the task force on homelessness and housing. Or my other recommendation is that we wait until February to bring about the solution of the CAC Airport Committee and having it be part of the CIC. Those will be two of my recommendations. So I guess the question is, do we split this particular item into two so I can say, there's no way I'm going to vote no on
So,
Public Safety Committee.
so the way it stands right now is we have a motion on the table, staff recommendation as is. It has been seconded. If it does not pass, then I will ask for another motion and then you can make another motion.
But I can't vote no on a Public Safety Committee.
Then you're going to have to decide. You can abstain.
No, abstain is not within my vocabulary.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Okay. Councilmember Roach.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to thank my colleague, Councilmember Bonilla, for his leadership in this and seeing a need and finding a way forward with the solution. I think I think to Councilmember Syrov's point, this is obviously something a long time coming. The fact that we didn't have a public safety committee before is sort of one of those, yeah, why, like, no, duh, we should have done this a long time ago. So thank you for that. I think this is a great way forward to be able to focus on public safety topics, especially, if we continue this emerging trends topic, like I suggested and like Councilmember Andrews added, many additional topics. As long as that's sort of a priority, then, I'll really feel like the Public Safety Committee is answering a need that we don't have currently. So I'm really happy about that. I think it will satisfy need for public transparency in that it will allow the public to come and comment. The videos will be available afterwards for people to review and make comments at the next meeting. So I'm pleased with this this new committee and I'm supportive of it going forward. As far as the infrastructure and the airport committee, I hear my colleagues' concerns about that, but it sounds like we're moving from a quarterly to a bi-monthly. So at least there's some increase in capacity to take on some of that, to take on some of the topics for the airport committee. So nothing actually falls through the cracks. So it sounds like there will be more work happening in that committee in order to compensate. Is that right?
The other thing is we could still call it the Council Infrastructure and Airport Committee. I mean, so it doesn't have to completely, I mean, it could be retitled so that it's still, the airport is still part of and present as part of the committee and acknowledged as an important part. So that may be one compromise position as opposed to having a separate committee, is to just retitle it the Infrastructure and Airport Committee.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if that solves that problem, I'd be happy for it. I guess that goes to the movers of the motion. But otherwise, I'm in support of that. And I want to thank staff for all the work that went into creating the staff report for this. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. And then Councilmember Goldstein.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, staff, for the report. Touches on a lot of topics that are, very, very worth considering. And I appreciate Councilmember Bonilla for championing this. and also for the Community Services Commission, who took it upon themselves to advocate for this for the benefit of our community. I really do see it being a big benefit to the community to be able to interact directly with their elected representatives on issues of public safety that become important to them. I think it's a great idea to have an agendized item talking about emerging issues. And the other topics that are also on that list, I think are very, very appropriate. So I'll be voting in favor of this.
Okay, thank you. I see that Councilmember Syrup's hand is up. I was going to make a comment, but I'll let you go ahead.
Just really quickly, if the maker of the motion is open to amending the title to the Council Infrastructure and Airport Committee, would that satisfy your concerns, Councilmember Urmeño?
Well, I guess my question is, can I vote yes on the first part and no on the second part?
It is a single motion that has been made,
All
unfortunately.
right, so I will vote yes and no on the second part. Thank you.
Okay. So I wanted to make a comment, and I'm in favor of the motion, and I'm also in favor of making it bi-monthly and also renaming the committee to Infrastructure and Airport Committee, because I think it does preserve the integrity of both the infrastructure and airport. Because I agree with Councilmember Urmeño, I don't want the integrity of both committees, and particularly both work. And I know we have our Public Works Director out there. The airport, there is a lot of activity going on out there, not just services and all that, but we got, hotels being built, and we got economic development being planned. We have, other developments on the West Winton side. There are some heavy projects and that will be coming to us. But my experience on the CIC has been those projects that have come, like the big development projects, they have come to the CIC and they have been heard by the Airport Committee without compromising integrity in both domains. So I think we can accomplish both of those things, but I understand the spirit of what you were saying. But I also, just wanted to, just sort of globally speak about, this, the intention or the spirit of the neighborhood or, the community or neighborhoods having access to the police chief and having access to the police department to engage them and to express concerns and so forth. I don't want the city to think, or I don't want community members to think that, this has never happened before, that neighborhoods and community members did not have an opportunity or did not have opportunities to engage with the police department in a very formal way. I want to, reintroduce and re-highlight the Neighborhood Alert Program. Neighborhood Alert Program was a program where neighbors in neighborhoods would organize entire neighborhoods. And, it built community, it built partnerships, it often, generated concerns, neighborhood-based concerns. They were Neighborhood Alert Program or Neighborhood Alert chapters, or I forget exactly what they were called, but Neighborhood Alert chapters in several different neighborhoods all throughout the city. And City Hall, the mayor and city manager, along with the police chief and our fire chief, they would go to these meetings. And I remember as recently as the last 10 or 7 years, where the issues that were brought to the mayor and were brought to city staff were handled all within Neighborhood Alert. And in fact, later on this evening, we're going to be honoring somebody who was incredibly active in the Neighborhood Alert Program, and their advocacy and their work in these activities and these programs were very important. And so I'm glad we're doing this. I think this is a good move, and I'm happy that we're moving in this direction. But I want to encourage us, doing committees and forming committees and doing this kind of stuff this is good work. I mean, I appreciate this work. But you know what the hard work is? The hard work is organizing neighborhoods, right? The hard work is, organizing neighborhoods, knocking on doors, talking to neighbors, and getting out and talking to one another. One of the observations I've made over the last few years is even the National Night Out activity. Some of the National Night Out activities have been very robust and very good, and there've been a lot of participation. But the last couple of years, and I know we had the pandemic and all that, but the National Night Out activities, the block parties have decreased, right? And part of that, the goal of that is so neighbors go and introduce themselves and interact with other neighbors. I mean, that's, if we're gonna really tackle crime and solve neighborhood crime, some of the stuff that we talk about all the time. I mean, we got sideshows and we have, street level retail theft. And I mean, all of this stuff can oftentimes and have oftentimes been addressed and solved through neighborhood alert and through these other activities. Organizing people and organizing neighborhood, that's the hard work, And so I just don't want us to lose sight of that, right? And I know we all know that, but if we really want to solve some of the more pressing issues we have, crime related in our neighborhoods, we need to have our neighbors involved and engaged, and we need to talk to one another, so that's my challenge to the neighborhoods, right? That's my charge to the neighborhoods tonight. As we do this, we'll do this, and I think there's a lot of support up here for this. But I don't want us to lose sight, and I don't want us to let go of this idea that if we're going to solve neighborhood issues and crimes and just really problematic issues that we have associated to crimes, it really takes us to work with one another and work in true neighborhood fashion. So with that said, I wanted to thank everyone for their work on this. Thank you, Councilmember Bonilla, for your leadership on this. And Madam City Clerk, if you can take the roll.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So we have a motion by Councilmember Bonilla Jr., seconded by Councilmember Syrup with 2 amendments. Thank you. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Goldstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Roach.
Aye.
Councilmember Syrup.
Just a point of clarity, it's the name change and the bi-monthly change. Those are the amendments, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cermeño.
Oh, yes, with a no at the second.
There's a motion with 2 amendments. Councilmember Cermeño.
Yes, and no on
Yes.
the committees. Thank you.
All right, Mayor Salinas.
And that's a yes, and that unanimously passes. Thank you. Good work. I'd like to now move on to item number 18, which is fiscal year 2024 salary plan amendment. Adopt a resolution approving an amendment to the City of Hayward salary plan for fiscal year 2024. And this is a report from the Director of Human Resources. Ms. Fry.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. We are asking the council to adopt a resolution approving an amendment to the City of Hayward salary plan for fiscal year 2024. And here we go. So pursuant to the negotiated terms of the respective MOUs and subsequent salary surveys, HPMU classifications shall receive an 18.45% salary increase effective August 28th, 2023. Which has a fiscal impact of approximately $447,000. And HPOA represented classifications shall receive a 5% salary increase effective January 1, 2024, for a total fiscal impact of approximately $1.5 million. Excuse me. The salary for Reserve Officer Coordinator is set internally to be equivalent to Police Sergeant and will therefore receive a 4% equity increase for an approximate fiscal impact of $2,000. The classification of Police Chief will receive an increase of 9.51% effective August 28th, 2023, in order to maintain a 10% differential with police captain. And the fiscal impact of that change is approximately $37,000. And then finally, in an attempt to align salaries of mayor and council member with the intent of the ordinance governing council compensation, the respective salaries are being adjusted to reflect salaries that would be in place had the provisions outlined in the municipal code governing such compensation been applied consistently beginning fiscal year 2004 through fiscal year 2024. Effective January 1, 2024, and based on CPI data from the period of 2004 through 2024, the salary for mayor will increase from approximately $41,000 to approximately $69,000. And the salary for council member will increase from approximately $26,000 to approximately $43,000. The total fiscal impact for these increases for fiscal year 2024 is $93,694.
Okay, is that it?
That's all.
Oh, okay, thank you. Like to see, oh, maybe I'll check the board here. All right. Okay, I have no speakers up here. I'd like to open up for public comment. I have one public comment online, and Anna, you're free to talk. Anna disappeared. And there's no public comment in here. So I'd like to close public comment and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the item.
Moved by Councilmember Syrup.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Goldstein. And if there are other questions or comments, Madam City Clerk, take the roll.
Mayor Salinas, I believe was no request to speak.
Is there?
I thought there was one, but
There was, but
Lowered her hand.
The hand was either, it disappeared.
all right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So it's been moved by Councilmember Syrup and seconded by Councilmember Goldstein, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.,
Yes.
Councilmember Goldstein,
Yes.
Councilmember Roach,
Yes.
Councilmember Syrup,
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño,
Yes.
Mayor Salinas.
Yes,
Thank
and it unanimously passes. Thank you. Moving on to our next item, which is a public hearing, which is item number 15.
Mayor,
Oh.
we can't go to that until 7 PM, but you could go to the council referral that did not
Oh, yeah,
get pulled
that's
from the
right.
agenda.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I had, alrighty. So we're gonna move to, wait, where did I lose my place here? Moving down to, I'm gonna skip council reports and announcements, move to council referral. Item number 20, which is city council referral, City of Hayward funding and support for St. Rose Hospital. And this is a referral, of course, from me and council member Bonilla Jr. And wanted to open it up for questions. And I don't know if the city manager wants to talk about this also, but open it up for council.
No, and I noted that there's no staff report in
Yeah.
response. If the council directs staff to move forward with the request, which was to potentially find $250,000 to $500,000 of annual ongoing funding to support operations at St. Rose Hospital, that we would come back at the mid-year budget with a proposal for how to incorporate that. So that's why there's no staff response memo.
Yeah, exactly. Councilmember Roach.
Thanks. Yeah, I was,
Oh.
Since there is no staff report on it, where do you propose the money will be coming from?
Probably from the Measure C fund at this point, just because, part of the, there were, in terms of public safety and emergency response, that was part of the, the original political commitment for Measure C. So that is most likely where we would propose it to come from.
And was this money that was sort of contemplated that we were going to need to do something for St. Rose in the future? Like what, was there some idea that this is in the budget, or is this going to be a
No, this would be a new request.
Okay.
And I think it had come, I think Councilmember Bonilla and the mayor could talk, but Supervisor Marquez, there's
Yeah.
a current proposal for a new operator owner of St. Rose Hospital. And so some concern from, I think, the county about making sure that proposers or bidders on the operations for St. Rose Hospital feel that there's strong both city commitment and county commitment. So, and I don't know if Councilmember Bonilla wants to speak more to it, but that's my understanding of how this all transpired.
All right, and it looks like it's a referral to bring it back to us to show where the money's going to come from, what that looks like. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
And I apologize, Mayor Pro Tem Andrews.
Thank you. Are there going to be any metrics with money this grant given?
And that would be part of the plan. If when staff brings back a plan, they will certainly bring back metrics as to how the money is spent and the goals that it achieves. Yes.
Okay. I will have comments after. Thanks.
Okay. Councilmember Syrup.
Just questions for now?
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Councilmember Zermeño.
Mayor, my question was, we will look for money out of somewhere, and I believe you answered by looking at Measure C funds. Okay, so thank you for that.
Okay, and then before I call upon Council or Mayor Pro Tem Andrews, I wanted to speak larger in the context of this referral. St. Rose Hospital, as all of you know, is a absolutely critical piece of a healthcare system, not only in our city but throughout the region. It is a safety net hospital, and for all intent and purposes, it is the hospital that has a very unique mission. And the mission is that it will serve all those regardless of their ability to pay. And St. Rose, for a very, very, very long time, historically, St. Rose has been the hospital that has received and has served some of the most lowest income and most indigent patients in the county. And historically, St. Rose Hospital has not received its entitlements from or its entitled share of funding through the county. Over the last few months, we have had a change in leadership at the county level and here. And I think what we have seen, what has been nice to see just regionally is a very a change in mood in its in the not only in the relevance of St. Rose Hospital, but the importance of the sustainability of St. Rose Hospital. And so I'm glad that we're able to sort of move in this direction and look at how we can support the mission of St. Rose Hospital. The county is doing what they can do. Of course, we're not doing this by ourselves. We're doing this in partnership with the county and with the county health services department. And I know that this funding is just a small, really piece of the master or the bigger plan for sustainability of this hospital. This hospital is absolutely critical. And I should just say, and this will be my last comment, I should also say that, not a lot of cities in Alameda County have a hospital like St. Rose Hospital, a full-fledged, hospital with, from, where you can, families can have, you can deliver babies, and you can also do some of the most complex surgeries in medicine here in Hayward. Not a lot of hospitals have that capacity. We have it here in Hayward, and so anyways, I just wanted to put that into context and so that the colleagues here up here can have more to think about. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Andrews.
Yes, I wanted to know if it's possible can we, if they were to receive this money, can we see a sustainability plan? And that will be part of the metrics, if that's something that we can request.
So I think, what I would probably come back to council with is that we would only recommend this funding go forward with a new operator. And that it's contingent upon, sort of a renewed operations plan and also funding from the county. So I think that is definitely something that we would probably come back with as a staff recommendation.
Also, is there an opportunity for us to think creatively, as we know that HEART is a program that is fine tuning, but also can we, if we were to give funding to St. Rose, can they do some kind of partnership with HEART where it's street medicine or reduce the visits to the hospital that can keep costs down for St. Rose to be able to provide services to those who don't have?
Yeah, I think there's
funding?
definitely options to look at that.
Okay, I would, if we are to give funding, I want to see something like that come from St. Rose, if that's possible.
Yeah, in conversations with the county, one of the things that they recommended, and I think in conversations with Councilmember Bonilla and the mayor, was leaving it the grant of the funding flexible, because then it can be matched by intergovernmental transfer funds, which can double the money from the county. So we could have what you're requesting as kind of a separate ask, but not tie it directly to this money.
Okay, can we look at USC's Keck School of Medicine as an example of how they're able to do that program?
We can definitely
research.
research that. Our fire chief is in the back of the room, and I'm sure he can look into that and figure out what that partnership looks like. So.
I can forward it to you, Chief, if you want me to. Okay. And then are there any other cities that are providing funding to hospitals?
I don't know off the top of my head, but probably is my guess, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Can we research that? Because I had a hard time finding that.
Okay, we can see if we can figure that out.
Thank
you.
Councilmember Bonilla.
Thank you, Mayor. I, echo the mayor's sentiments with this referral. St. Rose is a real critical safety net hospital in our community. It serves primarily Medi-Cal and uninsured and underinsured patients. In fact, I was born there because my parents didn't have health insurance when I was born. So I understand what a lifeline St. Rose is to our most vulnerable members of the community. St. Rose, just to put things in context, serves more than 400,000 individuals every year, of which 25,000 folks are seen as emergency room patients each year. So their impact in this community and in the surrounding community is significant. I think all of us care about making sure that this critical lifeline service in our community stays in our community and stays afloat. So I appreciate us thinking creatively as a city in terms of how we're going to support these critical services remaining available for our most vulnerable and underserved members of the community. I think that this is, I really appreciate the partnership with the county as well. This referral really is two pieces. The first piece is for the staff to bring back options for how we can provide $200,000 to $500,000 in ongoing funding. But the second is really to work with Alameda County Health Services to figure out a way to maximize that impact, as the city manager said, to potentially double what we're going to be contributing to really make a broader impact at St. Rose. I do appreciate Councilmember Andrews, questions and what she's looking to do there. I don't support adding more to St. Rose right now. I think they have enough on their plate trying to stay afloat. So, we're going to provide them with this funding, I think, to support already critical services that they're having a hard time maintaining. So, if there's additional funding that we can find, outside of this referral for things like street medicine, I'm totally down for that. And I think that would be wise to do. So with that, just encourage my colleagues to, vote in support of this referral today. I think it's going to serve our community well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And before I call on Councilmember Syrup, do we need a vote on this, or pretty much a consensus that we can just direct staff?
I mean, it would be great to, I think a vote would be
Okay,
helpful.
all right. So we're looking for a vote. Okay. And then Councilmember Syra.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to thank you, both you and Councilmember Bonilla, for your leadership in bringing this to the table. Our esteemed St. Rose alum. I don't know if you call yourself an alum when you're born in a hospital.
We're alum. We're alumni.
But I just, I'm very supportive of this referral. I think this is an outstanding example of expanding our understanding of what public safety means, a safety that's holistic in its view about our community's health. This is also another example of our city putting its money where its mouth is when we talk about looking after some of our most vulnerable residents. It's a travesty for any community when a hospital closes. I was born in Kaiser and Hayward. It no longer exists. And so that's why I'm not part of the club. But it impacts the health of our community, and it leads to extraordinary costs downstream to individuals, to the families that they're a part of, to our government and taxpayers when no one else can provide those services, and to other emergency services such as our police department and our fire department. Like Councilmember Bonilla said, 400,000 residents per year use St. Rose. And so without St. Rose, where will they go? And how much will it cost them and our government if they lose that lifeline? So all of this is to say that the amount range that's being proposed, while it might shock some folks when they see a number that large, I think is a very small investment that pales in comparison to what it would cost all of us to be without this hospital in our community. So I will be supporting this referral. Thank you for your leadership. And I look forward to seeing a more robust report from staff in the future.
Councilmember Cermeño.
So apologies. Thank you, Mayor. So I also thank the mayor and colleague Bonilla for this referral. Very important for our community. And as a member of the St. Rose Hospital Foundation for 10 years, I'll support it 100%. Thanks.
Councilmember Goldstein.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm in support. St. Rose Hospital, I believe, is the only hospital serving the indigent community within about 15 miles. And, you can just quickly tick off in your head, how many lives are saved for emergency care if St. Rose were to go away, how many of those people probably would not survive that 15-mile trip? So I think it's a priority to keep St. Rose working. And more than that, they are a huge benefit to our community in a number of different ways, including through the foundation and their participation in the community. So I'm in favor.
Thank you. Councilmember Roach.
Thank you. I was waiting, do we have public comment on this, or were there no?
There is no public comment. I just.
Okay, wonderful.
There is someone with a hand raised online if you want to see if they have a comment.
Okay.
Or was there
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
should I go ahead?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead and I'll go to public comment.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to say I'm in support of the referral. Thank you to the mayor and Councilmember Bonilla for bringing this forward. I understand that St. Rose is a critical piece of our infrastructure in this community. And I think to be able to do our part as a city to contribute to that service and allow them to leverage those dollars with the county for further grants, I think is something I would absolutely get behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to close our comments and move to public comment. I'll have Ms. Karen Moore.
Good evening, Mayor and Council Member. My name's Karen Moore. I'm a new resident to Hayward, but not to this area. My grandfather, great-grandfather and grandmother came with the gold rush, and we've been in this area for a long time. I had moved out to Tracy, and I'm moving back, and I'm happy to be here. It's a breath of fresh air to see a council that's so respectful to each other compared to what I've left. I was really impressed with the metrics. So if you haven't watched 60 Minutes, how a hospital system grew to gain market power and drove up California healthcare costs, I would say that before you ever make a decision, you should watch that 60 Minutes. It's very eye-opening what the healthcare industry has been doing in California. They have been sued by the Attorney General, and they have paid huge amounts, but they're not changing. So what are they doing? Well, let's talk about this. They're closing all kinds of hospitals. So metrics is important. You want to find out what their wait times in emergency, because that's how they
Ms.
don't take care of the
Ms. Moore, your time has run up.
I apologize. Thank you so much.
Yes,
I would
and-
just say that more research needs to be done because it seems like there's a lack of understanding what's going on in the healthcare system. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your kind words about our collegiality. I really appreciate that. Our next public comment is Susan's iPad.
Hello, council and mayor. Good afternoon or evening. I'm Susan Gelke. I'm a member of HCC. I just wanted to make the comment that I'm not sure if anybody on the council is aware, but when Kaiser left Hayward, they donated $14 million to St. Rose. I'm not against doing this. I'm not against the council offering money to St. Rose, but I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more public comment, I would take the honor and the privilege to moving this item.
I'll second.
And I don't know whether you were born in room 202 like I was, but I hear there's a marker in room 202. At least that's what they say. But anyways, moved by Mayor Salinas, second by Councilmember Bonilla. And if there are no other questions, Madam City Clerk, if you take the roll.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.
Yes, and thank you, Mayor, for your leadership on this.
Okay. Councilmember Goldstein.
Yes.
Councilmember Roach.
Yes.
Councilmember Syrup.
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño.
See.
Mayor Salinas.
Yes, and it unanimously passes. Thank you to my colleagues on the council for this. So next, what I'd like to do is I'd like to take a 5-minute break. And
Mayor, I was also, the city clerk and I were conversing, you could do council reports and announcements now.
oh, okay, let's do that then.
yes,
Council
so
member
you don't-
reports and
Yeah,
announcements.
there we go. So you
Are
don't have to even
there-
take a break.
Are there council member, does anybody have 5 minutes worth of council reports and announcements? Are they 5 minutes worth? You can only talk if you got 5 minutes worth.
No,
No, go ahead.
All right. I want to thank everyone who attended the holiday drive last week, Thursday. I want to thank Supervisor Lisa Marquez and Councilmember Roche on the collaboration. We donate, I don't have the exact count, but I know there was at least 2 vans and 4 truckloads or carloads of toys and baby items and canned goods. We donated to La Familia, Glad Tidings. Downtown Streets team are going to receive gift cards that were donated, and Eden Youth and Family Center. So thank you all for your support. Thank you, Councilmember Bonilla, for helping us lift some of those items to cars. We appreciate your stamina and energy. Thank you.
I did have a report or a announcement. This is our last council meeting of the year, and and tomorrow will mark my 1-year anniversary as mayor, and I just today I've been reflecting on that, and in fact I had a brief conversation with the city manager about it today. And I just wanted to thank everybody in the city of Hayward for this just incredible opportunity and this really wonderful privilege. I have certainly learned a lot over this last year. This is a very humbling chair, and Mayor Pro Tem Andrews brought that up last week when we were sort of passing the torch for Mayor Pro Tem to Councilmember Cermeño. But this truly is a very humbling chair, and I just wanted to thank the community for their support. I wanted to thank my colleagues for their collegiality, their support, and their words of encouragement along the way. And I also wanted to thank staff. I have been growing over the last year to get closer with staff and learn the work that you guys are doing. I thought this chair was tough. Be the director of development services. But anyways, I just today I've been reflecting a lot on that, and so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, and just wish everyone a very happy holiday and a happy new year. So Thank you. Councilmember Bonilla.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge Councilmember Andrews. She's always thanking everyone, but a big thanks goes to her, Councilmember Roche and Supervisor Marquez for that event that they hosted. It was just a pleasure to be there. It really demonstrates your guys' commitment to the community. It shows that there's good work that's being done in Hayward, for Hayward, that's addressing the needs of the Hayward people. So just thank you both for your leadership there and for being so committed to serving Hayward around the holidays.
Councilmember Syrup.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a commissioner and task force reception last Friday, and I just wanted to extend my gratitude to staff. I believe folks in the city manager's office, and I'm assuming it was facilities as well. Am I missing anyone there?
The city clerk's office also helps with invitations.
Oh,
and
the
the
city clerk's
like.
office makes the commissions and task forces
Yes,
happen.
exactly.
So just wanted to say thank you. It was a wonderful event. It was also really heartwarming to see so many new faces in the room too. We appointed a lot of new folks from our community to these commissions, and I think they're all doing great work. So thank you, staff, and thank you to the commissioners that attended.
Thank you. And we have 1 minute left. And so in that 1 minute, I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the consent calendar of the agenda and just take a look at it for 30 seconds. You know, you might want to look at the boldface font for a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7 o'clock. So I'd like to go to the consent calendar. I'd like to pull item number 14. And then if anybody else, let's see, Councilmember Syrup.
Same item.
Same one?
Comment on 11 through 14.
Comment on 11 through 14. Okay, anyone else?
I was going to comment on 11 through 14 as
Okay, so I'll start with Councilmember Syrup. You may comment through 11 through 14.
Thank you. First, wanted to thank soon to be former Commissioner Artavia Berry for her service to the city. She helped chair and lead the Community Services Commission through a pretty extraordinary time that I think yielded some really exciting results and leadership for the city of Hayward when it came to issues around public safety and racial justice. I know that she was a big part of my experience on that commission. I will miss seeing her there. I also wanted to congratulate Ron Myers on his soon-to-be appointment to the Planning Commission. I know you're going to bring a wonderful perspective to the table. And I also want to congratulate Huang Dao on his appointment and say thank you to RT as well. I served with RT briefly on the Community Services Commission. I understand this is a hard decision to step back from the Planning Commission, but I am appreciative of her service. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews, yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank former Commissioner Artavia Berry on her service, and she is also going to be serving on the county task force for reparations. So wanted to commend her on that achievement. Also wanted to thank former Commissioner Artie Garg. She has done a lot for our city. We spent a lot of time together talking not just about Keep Hayward Clean and Green, but actually policies that were about sustainability. And we wrote letters on behalf. She also helped out with some of the initiatives that the task force is working on now, which is the yard contest. So I just want to thank her. She also worked extremely hard on a community service commission as well, and did a lot of the work related to racial justice as well. She doesn't get enough credit for it, but she actually worked on it as well. So I wanted to thank her for her service and just acknowledge that she served on 3 different commissions and task force. That is a true commitment to the city, and she did not make this decision easily. So I just wanted to give her a huge shout out because she really does love this city. And I also look forward to seeing Commissioner Ron Myers. He actually is someone who is very dedicated to the community. Him and his wife are so committed and give so much just in terms of community engagement and information about the community. And just look forward to seeing him serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Roach.
Thank you. Yeah, I also want to say thank you to Artie Garg for her commitment to the city. I know it wasn't an easy decision for her, but I think she's committed to making sure that she's still involved and watching what we do, especially in the area of sustainability. She's really interested in following those kind of policy decisions. And I'm assuming and hoping that there'll be a future role for her when she finds more time. I think she's a really big workload with her career, and really appreciate her taking seriously her role at the Planning Commission and understanding what it would take to continue doing that. So appreciate her tough decision and stepping down. And I want to congratulate Ron Myers for his appointment. We interviewed Ron, and he demonstrated a clear commitment to the city and doing what he can to make Hayward a better place to live. So I congratulate you for becoming commissioner now in the Planning Commission. And I thank you.
Councilmember Bonilla.
I'll be super brief, just ditto to everything my colleagues have said. Ron, welcome to the Planning Commission. We all know you're going to do great. Welcome to Commissioner Dong to the Community Services Commission, and just a special thanks to Commissioner Barry and to Commissioner Garg for their contributions on the respective commissions they served on. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Goldstein.
Yeah, thank you. In the few months that I had the pleasure of serving with Artavia Berry on the Community Services Commission, I really came to respect her leadership, her thoughtfulness, and her commitment to the community. Artavia, if you're listening, I wish you well in your new position with the county. Welcome to Hong Dao, to the Community Services Commission. We're all expecting good things from you. And thank you, Artie, for your term of service on Planning Commission, and welcome Ron Myers to Planning Commission. Thank you.
Councilmember Zermeño.
Thank you, Mayor. It is sad to see good working folk leave our commission. So an appreciation, and may you have a good Artavia in Art. May you have a good experience in your next step. And then, of course, we welcome Mr. Myers, and Mr. Dow to the working Hayward family. And he has a good collection of crossword puzzles, by the way. So if you're looking for some, so look him up. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then turn to public comment is TJ from Hayward Concerned Citizens.
Hi, so I don't know if I understand. Can we pull a couple of items as well? Or are we speaking to one?
We're just, what would you like to pull?
9 and 14?
9 and 14?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Speak on those.
Okay. Just to comment on 14, Ron Myers, he's been an asset to our Hayward Concerned Citizens. He's one of us. He will do great, I know, as a planning commissioner. I'm so happy for him. I just wanted to wish him congratulations. Consent item number 9. I wanted to, I'd like you to help the general public better understand the intended purpose of this item. As I understand it, Measure C was passed by voters in 2014 and meant to be in effect for 20 years. But now it's being put back on the ballot early for next year to guarantee an extension to fund identified facility needs throughout the city, if it passes again. The consultants you propose to pay to do yet another survey, FM3, already did a recent resident satisfaction survey in 2021, and that included addressing the community's receptiveness to a parcel tax, which more than half of those surveyed were in favor of placing on a future ballot. Then council decided to scrap that plan and to stick with Measure C instead. And now we've come full circle in almost a circuit, as you propose to dip again into our taxpayer money to pay for consultants who are being tasked to put a less than complete to poll a less than complete sample of Hayward voters to see if they are open to an extension of a tax we already approved, and to determine priorities that were already determined for facility upgrades. Then you spent additional money on mailers that went to all Hayward residents, promoting your update on Measure C. There's a small section on the back of that mailer identifying additional facility needs, and these include what you refer to as the Public Safety Center. But I have never seen you fully commit to this as something that will come to fruition. Now you suddenly want the residents that elected you to decide, you want the residents to decide after you set your strategic roadmap goals as a governing body without our input. I'm not opposed to Measure C itself, but I guess my personal question to you tonight is, how many consultants and surveys do you need to waste money on just to kick the can further down the road? You use our funds for City Hall bathroom remodels, people's budget, your Portugal trip, the ongoing Russell City conversations that could all have been used to fund other needed projects or unfinished projects like the Stack Center. Please explain why why it was $290,750 from our Measure C funds that could be used for what it was intended for. But please explain why you would use this money, sorry, from Measure C that could be used for what it was intended for. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan's iPad.
I have to go to measure 9, right?
Hi, this is Susan Gelke again. I just want to comment on the same thing that TJ just addressed. My confusion is, why would we pay for a survey prior to Measure C being passed again? Because with the state of the economy such as it is, I'm not sure Measure C will pass. We have no guarantee that's going to happen, even though it would be wonderful if it did. So my question is really, why would we pay for a survey to be done ahead of time? And I know a similar situation happened when the talk was of correcting situations with Hayward Boulevard. A lot of money was spent hiring engineers and consultants to figure out how all that was to go. And then in the end, the whole project was scrapped. So I do think we have to be cautious about engaging with more consultants before we know that we have the access to Measure C funds. Thanks.
Thank you. Susie's iPad.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Luther with Hayward Concerned Citizens. I agree with both TJ and Susan. However, I'm still a bit confused about this survey. Is it about using the funds for the current Measure C for the next 10 years? Or is it for what citizens and residents would be interested in if we voted on prolonging Measure C 10 years out? I mean, are we asking our citizens what they want 10 years from now? And if not, I think we've already decided what we wanted Measure C funds to be used for. And why are we asking citizens when you guys can turn around and use Measure C funds for St. Rose Hospital without asking anybody's opinion on that? So I'm just a little confused about the whole situation. It would be nice to get a little bit of clarification on it, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy Guernsey.
There, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I agree with the speakers prior to this with TJ, because I was going to talk about this issue, and then after I saw that you guys got yourselves a raise tonight, and now you're looking to extend the 0.5% sales tax, which I understand we've got the highest sales tax in the county, and we have these car dealerships that, in talking with Subaru the other day, they are selling around 200 cars a month. And if you take the 1075 on the sales tax and everything else, they're probably generating, you know, the city coffers just from Subaru, $10 to $12 million a year. And I don't hear you guys talking about the new money that's coming in and the projected and this sort of thing. But at this point, I am against spending almost $300,000 to a firm that is going to go out and ask questions of a selected group. You're not going to ask all the 150,000 residents of Hayward if we want to extend this sales tax. And I'm sorry, I appreciate the last speaker. I did not realize you were taking Measure C money to go to St. Rose without asking. So in the fact that you've given yourselves a raise, you're spending money without asking us, and that I say no, do not hire the firm to spend $300,000 to do a survey if we want to extend the 0.5% sales tax that we voted on to only go 20 years. You know, we already in California have people that are spending money on this bullet train that we keep saying we don't want. So let's have Hayward use this new money from the car dealerships and the effectiveness. And yes, you're doing some wonderful work in the city and cleaning up our roads and filling potholes and things like that. Though I'm seeing a lot of, after a month or two, those same roads, the cracks are showing back up. So that I'll take over with Public Works and my concerns. But you guys are doing a good job. But tonight, you're on a spending spree that I just am not in favor of, especially when you loaded your pockets and you're going to take out of mine. So I'm sorry, it's harsh, and but it's very concerning the way you're spending money tonight.
Thank you. Tom Ferreira.
Good evening, City Council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, City Council. City Council over the years has always held a shiny carrot in front of the residents about public safety. The current Measure C promised more police protection, which it did, but only gave us 2 police officers and a lieutenant during that time. That's it. No new building, no new equipment. The Measure C funds gave us a $70 million downtown library, a new fire station training center, and remodeling of all the fire stations, which is excellent. And I support our Hayward firefighters and our libraries. Still, when are the police going to get their turn? They need their turn. Now we're talking about extending Measure C funds, which will probably be used for completing the future SPAC Center, which we're down about 18 million still to go. I also heard the possibility of using money to even help St. Rose, which I just found out that's a for sure thing. Let's make the public safety a promise to our Hayward voters. Our Hayward police and our residents need this new building, not only to replace a 50-year-old building for its structural issues and leaking, but also build up our police force and attract great talent and safety for our residents. And one other comment, I think Supervisor Marquez, she just gave $5 million to St. Rose. They just got last month. Does our Measure C funds go into effect after that money is used, or I was wondering how that works. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so seeing no more public comment online or seeing no more public comment here, Madam City Clerk or Madam City Manager.
If possible, is it possible to maybe just respond to some of the comments?
If you want.
Yeah,
Sure.
I just think it's important to clarify what this contract is.
Sure.
And then also just point out some information for the public speakers. So this contract is to look at the potential for extending Measure C for an additional 30 years, which would allow us the debt capacity to build the new police building and public safety center. And so that would be the primary project that would be funded for this, but we want to make sure that we are talking to the community and understanding their priorities. And so that is why we are doing our due diligence through this contract. But the major facility that would be funded from that additional 30-year extension of Measure C would be the new public safety center and police building. I also just wanted to highlight there is another consent calendar item, number 5, which is approving the plans and specification and call for bids for the police department locker room project. That's about an $8 million project, which is being funded by current Measure C funds. We've also spent about $1 million to replace the roof at the current police building, also from Measure C dollars. And just wanted to highlight that we're doing that to make the facility livable until we're able to find the $100+ million of funds needed to build a new building. So I just wanted to clarify that for the public speakers that we have been using Measure C dollars. There were also a number of, I think it's 5 or 6 police officer positions, 9 positions in dispatch, and a number of other crime scene technician. And we've purchased a lot of equipment with Measure C dollars, and I'm happy to provide more information to anyone who would like that. So thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you for clarifying those points. I appreciate it. So seeing another, Madam City Clerk, if you can take the roll.
We have a motion, please.
Before you could take roll, you need a motion, right? So who would like to make a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Councilmember Goldstein. Second by Councilmember Zermeño. And if there are no other questions, comments, Madam City Clerk, if you can take the roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Andrews. Aye. Councilmember Bonilla Junior.
Aye.
Councilmember Goldstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Roach.
Yes.
Councilmember Sarah.
Yes.
Councilmember Zermeño.
Yes.
Mayor Salinas.
Yes, and it unanimously passes. Thank you. Okay, next, and if I don't do this right, I'm sure the city clerk and the city manager will bring me back. I believe we're a public hearing now, right? Yes, okay, perfect. Okay. Item number 13, which is Hayward Residential Design Study, consideration of the proposed text amendment to Hayward Municipal Code, Chapter 10, Article 1, Article 2, Article 24, and Article 28, zoning map amendments, and finding that no further environmental review is required pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. And this report will come to us by way of the Development Services Director, Sarah Bowser. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to forego staff presentation and come straight to council for questions. And let me go and see if I have any questions here. Mayor Pro Tem Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to review the point system to see if we can add something that's been coming up as a issue. We have a new residential development on Mission, and neighbors are complaining about parking in their location next to the new residential development. So I wanted to see if it's possible if we can review developments after a period of time to revisit their parking. And if we can give them points for off-site parking, if they're able to find it. I don't know if that's in conflict with the state laws, but it's becoming a problem when we have a higher density residential development next to a commercial office building that has a huge parking lot for their staff, but they're dealing with spillover from the residential developments.
So just so I understand, the request is to look at the point system for the design requirements or for the TDM strategies to see if there's a way to reward providing extra parking?
Yes, for example, if they're able to provide an agreement with a church or somewhere that's nearby, because it's becoming a problem for our commercial properties that are next door to higher density developments. If they're able to obtain some kind of use agreement, parking use agreements, to get cars off of the street and out of neighbors' lots, can we help them with that, with the point system?
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from or if there's something that the city of Hayward can do.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So right now, the Mission Boulevard Code doesn't require any parking. This is something that we discussed earlier in this project as part of the parking analysis. We couldn't, and I'm just thinking out loud here, we couldn't increase the parking requirements without running into like SB 330 problems. The point system is really aimed at, or the design point system is really aimed at like enhancing the look of a building. But maybe there's something in the TDM program. I mean,
yeah, because I know we can't add more parking.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if, because it's a quality of life issue for the people who are impacted by new developments. So,
well, and the transportation demand management point system that we added based on this body's feedback, really says that the project site itself can have a reduction in parking requirements, which again, is not super applicable to the Mission Boulevard Code because those developments are not required to have parking to begin with. But it does allow for a reduction of parking in exchange for other things. Most of the other things are like a new bike facility, a bus shelter, a loading zone. I could see potentially, I'm looking at my thought partner here. I could see potentially adding something to that list that
Okay.
says if you have a shared parking agreement, you know, with offsite that's within a certain distance, you know, that allows for spillover parking or parking for residents or something during certain hours. That could be something that potentially could be swapped for a reduction of parking on
Okay,
site.
I think we should look at that.
Okay.
And then also, I know we also talked about community space, community rooms.
Mm.
I don't know if I missed that in the point system. I just making sure if that's possible. It might be in there and I missed it.
There are points given for the open space requirements for community rooms. Again, for the residential districts, use is a problem because
Okay.
like they don't allow certain types of uses, but like in Mission Boulevard or downtown, that's absolutely appropriate. That is the type of thing we see.
Okay.
And they can get points specifically for community rooms, but they would get points toward their open space requirement.
Okay. And then I noticed that pickleball was identified
Yes.
in here. Pickleball is very noisy. So I don't know if there can be something coupled with the pickleball. I know it's super popular right now, but I know that Matt Jimenez has that as an activity and I could hear it from outside of Matt Jimenez. So just want to see if there's anything that y'all can just look out for or maybe add to the mitigation or to the point system if you have pickleball, some kind of noise mitigation. Just something to think about because residents could complain.
It's also something that if this body feels like, that's not something we really want to incentivize at this time because of noise concerns, it's also something that we could strike from the table altogether. That's not to say developments couldn't have pickleball. It just means that we wouldn't be rewarding them or incentivizing them by having points on the table.
Okay, I'll just leave it because I don't want pickleball. Those people are fanatic and I don't want them
You want
calling me or
them-
emailing me
I get
at
it.
all. So we'll just leave it, but encourage mitigation.
Got it.
And then poop bag stations, that is another complaint I'm getting from the higher residential development. So can we add?
That
that
we
as
do
something?
have points for,
Okay, great, thanks.
again, in the open space areas. So if you provide like a dog run or anything like that, you can get points for providing like a dog water and poop bag, a dog waste bag dispenser.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Zermino.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, a small explanation just so that everybody's aware on public land about unbundled as opposed to bundled parking, just so people can understand that.
Good question. So this is something we talked about in the staff report that I'm sure those of you that read it saw, but the state has actually recently passed some new legislation requiring unbundled parking for certain types of development. So when we say unbundled parking, what we mean is separating the cost of parking from the cost of housing. So traditionally, or maybe in the past, when you rent a housing unit, there's usually a parking space that automatically comes with that, or maybe two spaces. The idea of unbundling parking means that instead of automatically having a certain number of spaces come with each unit, that you could separate the cost of that. So if you have someone that say doesn't have a car, they don't have to pay that extra cost for parking spaces. And then alternatively, if you have someone that needs 3 parking spaces, they could pay extra money and get a third space if that's what they need. So the new state law that just passed says that across the state, not just for us in Hayward, but across the state, all new rental developments with 16 or more units must unbundle their parking for new construction starting in the year 2025. So not quite in January, but a year after that.
Very good, very understandable. So most people know what it means. Last year, we had a project where they were going to build 21 units and include 19 trees. So in my mind, that's not adequate. Is there any, I was looking for trees. I found open space. My apologies if I did not find a section on trees. So is there a way for us to work into the system that if there are 50 units, there will be no less than 50 trees in that place, maybe 10%, 20% more, whatever, but just want to make sure. So apologies if I did not find that particular section. So more trees, more points. Thank you. Is there something?
There are landscaping standards. There's also new standards that say, like, especially if there's higher density development next to lower density development, you have to have like extra trees and buffers and things like that. And then the city is also updating our tree preservation ordinance currently. So there'll be some continued discussion about making sure that there's lots of trees in all different types of development.
And that project last year did come back and they had more trees, so it was a win for the trees. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Roach.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work you put into this. I mean, I loved the workshops. I thought that was great. And then obviously, you know, you did what you could to get as much input as you could, especially from the development community. And I'm wondering what your feedback is as far as their sort of ease of use and understanding with the point system for the development community.
Yeah, so far for the people that we've talked to, both sent advanced copies to, and also just honestly developers and people who have come to the planning counter who are thinking about submitting projects. We've been sharing these plans, sharing these regulations with them. I'd say generally there's a lot of excitement about it. People like the clarity in the system and, you know, not having to wonder what's going to be approved, what's not going to be approved. What does this standard mean? You know, our current code is not 100% objective, as we've talked about many times. So I think from what we've heard so far, there's a lot of excitement about just having the clarity of tables and really specifically written standards and diagrams and things like that to help support it. So, so far it's all been positive. We'll of course see once, you know, we're enforcing these standards, but we're hopeful that this will be a significant improvement.
Okay.
And I'll add that we are intending to do like handouts and implementation tools. So it'll be a very easy to use guide where you just fill it out and you can calculate your points in the little table and you can submit it with part of your plan. So we're creating templates to make sure you can just easily use it, which is a model that San Francisco has. And several architects that were on our working groups said that those models really are helpful.
Okay. You know, and one thing I know the mayor decided to not have a presentation tonight, but if there was one that you prepared, I think it'd be great if you put it on the website, because it's such a meaty topic. I think if anyone was listening to try to understand what we were doing tonight, that would have been helpful, and maybe at least offer that so it's out there. Because I see we didn't get it ahead of time and it's not on you know, the system right now. So I think that would be really helpful for the community. Thanks. Let's see. Also, I wanted to ask, I know the Planning Commission did a big session on this, which I'm really grateful for. And then there was a comment from the Planning Commission that about artwork on Mission Boulevard, that they wanted to lower the points. And then I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah. We put a little bit of thought into this. Normally, you know, when the Planning Commission recommends amendments, we just blindly, you know, accept and, you know, support the recommendation. On this one, we took a little bit of a different approach. So in our design points table for the Mission Boulevard Code, as we heard from this body, we included points for incorporating art pieces into design. The Planning Commission liked that idea. Their concern was, in order to write that standard in an objective way, you know, really all we could come at was saying, okay, if the art is of a certain size, then it meets the requirement. And they were saying, well, who's going to have oversight over this art? How do we know if it's going to be appropriate for Hayward? How do we know if it's going to be something that really is going to beautify our corridor? So because they weren't sure about what that would look like, that's why they recommended amending the text amendments to disclude that part. So Taylor and I talked. We also talked with the city attorney's office. And as you all probably know, we have an existing city mural art program. So we talked about keeping the points for public art, but just requiring that they have to go through the city mural art program, which is reviewed by the city manager, by our development services director. So that, I think, gets at the Planning Commission's concern about having oversight over the art, but it still keeps the language objective where we can enforce it.
Okay. Oh, good. Thanks for that. Yeah, I want to make sure we keep the art program there. I'm sure Councilmember Anches would have something to say about that too. Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. I was wondering what their comments were around that. And then the other thing, you know, so you are increasing the large residential parking from 2 to 3 spaces. And I'm wondering, does that include tandem parking in a garage? So if you have a deep garage, you can park 2 there. Otherwise, you have a really large driveway.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot. I know some applications in the hills where there'll be, it'll look from the street like it's a 2-car garage, but one of the spaces is double deep. and we'll go a little bit further in. So again, this is really getting at, we've just heard from a lot of community members that people are building really big houses and they're really concerned about spillover parking onto the street. So we decided to make a threshold instead of requiring additional parking for all houses, really just aiming it at houses above that 3,000 square foot gross floor area and
Okay.
making sure that they have additional parking.
Great. Okay. Yeah, 'cause I didn't see that in there. And then the last thing is I'm really glad, like, you heard us on the TDM plans and reducing points for some of the more passive options for TDMs and sort of increasing points where there's like a reasonable sort of solution to somebody getting out of a car. So thank you for that. And otherwise, I know that a lot of work has gone into this and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Goldstein.
Yeah, great report. I know that this is a project that's been underway for a number of years, and it's great to see it finally come to this point. And I especially like the approach to unbundling, mailbox safety, open space points, the transportation demand management program. There's a lot of areas where this really touches. And I think it's really interesting that the approach to make this manageable for developers and for residents who want to look at this, the tables, making it available electronically. In addition to all of the, stakeholder work that you've done, getting people to the table just to talk about this. And it's, I'm pretty excited that you were able to put all this together. It's a great body of work. And I certainly would like to see it available online in a way that's easily digestible. In 2012, when we did the general plan task force update, one of the monstrous hurdles in front of us was, how do you make a document that's, 1.5 feet thick? How do you actually make it usable? And the team decided to turn that into an online electronic searchable document. And I've poked through that. It's wonderful. And I hope this will continue to build on that. One question that somebody brought to my attention was, and I didn't find it in here, so help me out. They said that the rear fence height was going to be raised to 7 feet. Can you help me understand what's going on?
Yes, that same resident called me today, and Taylor will giving her a call back tomorrow with an update from this hearing. We, in talking with actually our code enforcement division, they said, residents all over the city on side and rear fences on residential properties really want the fences to be 7 feet tall. That still keeps them under a height where they don't need building permits for them. If you can imagine like a solid wood fence with like a foot of lattice at the top, that's what a lot of people like to do. It just gives them a little bit of extra privacy in their backyard. And especially as we're adding ADUs and increasing density in different ways, we felt that that was a reasonable suggestion. Our code enforcement division also pointed out that that's going to make a lot of non-conforming fences in the city where people have built that suddenly conforming. So yes, the resident I believe that you spoke to and that I've also spoken to a couple of times is getting ready to build a new fence, and she wants to make sure to do it right and wait until the height is increased if things get approved tonight. So that's, I think, what she's laser focused on the fence height.
Yeah,
part of the
she's very
ordinance,
laser
but
focused on the fence
yeah.
thing. So I'm glad you're
I
able to
explained to her
answer.
there are other things in there, but
There-
she's really focused on the fence height.
There are definitely other things in there that are of importance to the rest of the city, but fence height was her concern. And what happens if somebody has on one side of the fence, or if it's a shared fence and these guys want 7 feet, but the other neighbor only wants 6 feet? How does that get adjudicated?
Same as any fence dispute. I mean, if one neighbor wanted 4 feet, for example, and another neighbor wanted 6 feet, we have discussions like this at the counter all the time. It's a private property matter. Usually people are able to work it out with their neighbors. In cases where they can't, sometimes neighbors take each other to small claims court and argue about fences, but that part is up to the private property owners. We don't dictate what has to be there. We just dictate what can be there.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Appreciate it. That's all.
Councilmember Syrup.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to follow up on that question. So is that height increase part of what's being discussed tonight?
Yes. So in the new residential district standards, which is on, let's see, attachment 3, exhibit A, and then also in the Mission Boulevard Code and the Downtown Code, we've updated it there as well. In this section that refers to heights, you'll now see that fence heights were for years, decades in the city, it was 6 feet tall in the rear and the side. Those are now increased to 7. We're still maintaining the front yard fence at 4 feet if people are putting it right on their property line. So we don't, create a situation where you're walking down the street and, can't just, or walking by a wall of fences. That's something that came up in the walk shops, but if on the rear and the sides, we're allowing it to be a little bit higher to 7.
And I'll just add to that, Fremont and Alameda County and several other East Bay jurisdictions have 7-foot rear yard fences. So most of the time when people come and they're like, why do I only get 6 feet in Hayward? So it's been a complaint we've heard before.
Thank you. That context is helpful. And then as far as TDM goes, can you speak to the bike infrastructure or the points that folks can get for different kinds of bike infrastructure?
Yes, we are pulling it up. So again, based on comments we heard here last time, for the TDM program overall, we're now offering a maximum 5% reduction in parking. So less of a reduction. And then we've changed the TDM measures to a point system. So on this table, and I'm looking at page 12 of, attachment 3, exhibit C in your packets. Of this table, you need to get a total of 15 points. So no one item is worth 15 points. You're going to have at least 2 or 3 things from this to earn that parking reduction. But the items on the list now are a publicly accessible class 4 bicycle facility. That's sometimes called a cycle track for people that are familiar with that. It means a facility for only bikes, for only cyclists. We do have a caveat in there that a class 1 bicycle facility could qualify if it's not like the public sidewalk. A class 1 facility is different than a class 4 facility in that it allows pedestrians. So like the Bay Trail is a good example of a class 1 facility. You can have bikes and pedestrians sharing that space. The other items on this list are more focused at transit and rideshare vehicles, but there is one more, thank you, Taylor. There's one more bike item on the list, which is saying that Cal Green requirements already require that there's some long-term bicycle storage, like lockers or a bike room on developments. So this is saying you can get extra points for increasing the amount of storage beyond what's required by the state. So those are the 2 kind of bike-related items on the TDM measure list.
Thank you. And just a follow-up question, if we're looking at developments that want to include retail on the bottom, for example, it helps to have simple bike parking available, not necessarily a locker, but just a simple metal, upside down U. Is that something that's part of this or falls under this?
Cal Green, which comes on the building permit stage, requires both short-term and long-term parking. And there are requirements for both also, I believe, in the Mission Boulevard Code. Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to move now to public comment to Karen Moore. I don't see her name on here anymore. I don't know if she's on here. Is she on there? No? Oh, Karen Moore, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I had to let my dog out. I have to say that my father was in the military, and so we spent time in Hawaii. And when I went back, they had made all the changes you're making, and it was really sad, very sad. When I came to California, because my mother's family was all was in California, but my dad came out to Alameda, and that's how they met. And then he took us all over the world with the Navy. And so the first time I remember coming to Hayward was in probably 65. And I was just, as a young 12-year-old, I was so amazed at how beautiful the city looked. And as we continue to try to chase affordable housing, we're making the city, it's sad. It's just really sad what I'm seeing. So, reducing parking, ADUs, it's all because we have allowed developers and mutual funds to use our real estate as currency. And so, I understand what our representatives are doing. I know what they're trying to do. I just know what I saw in Hawaii when I had gone back years later. And I know what I've seen in Hayward in the time of my life. And it's not going to solve the problem. It just won't. It didn't in Hawaii, and it won't here. But, I guess there's no other thoughts on the table for controlling the fact that when cities do have the money to go out and start buying homes and flipping them for low income, they can't win because the mutual funds will outbid them. And these people have an advantage of making the scarcity go away. I mean, that's, supply and demand. That's how they're jacking up their prices. So I challenge you all to dig deeper into this solution for affordable housing, because taller fences, ADU, less parking, those are not going to solve the problem. It's not going to get people in homes. It's not going to reduce the people who can't afford. I bought my first home in Newark at the age of 21. I can't even imagine a young person being able to do that today. So we need better solutions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll move back over to the dais and Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that this is a great night for our new commissioner to be here, so he can hear all the range of comments and questions. So I wanted to thank staff, particularly on the mailbox situation. It is becoming a huge problem region-wide, nationwide, and it was nice to see that point system for enclosing the area. And I hope that developers are seeing that this is an issue that the city is dealing with after you guys leave. So you all need to help your clients and help folks protect their identity, protect their mail, protect their livelihoods. This is a problem. So you all need to step up on the mail front. Also, I wanted to talk just briefly on arts. When I was on the commission, even though we didn't have these opportunities for developers to have a system where they know exactly what public art is required from the city, we still found ways for them to work with us. And we put it as part of their conditions of approval with their collaboration, not necessarily that we forced them. And they were looking for opportunities to help beautify our neighborhoods with these developments. And it's just disappointing to hear that, we're rewarding them less on something that actually can benefit not just the residents there, but the community. So it makes me want to revisit public art in our next strategic roadmap and get serious about it if the planning commission is not going to get serious about it. So we're going to get serious about it, Mayor. And so I wanted to know about not just the murals, because that is a form of art, but how do we get the sculpture at the library approved?
That was actually part of the capital project. So there was a whole public art plan for the library facility, and then also for Heritage Plaza. So as part of the development of that building, there's a lot of different options the council can consider. There's for city capital projects, the council could consider a 1% policy for public art. I know some cities consider a public art surcharge on building permits, where that could fund, a public art program in other places. So I think there's a lot of different options for the council to consider around, but the library art was part of the capital planning process for that facility.
Okay, thank you. And then, yes, I just wanted to thank you all for creating this point system, something that's unique to Hayward, but also easy for folks to follow along. And so there's no surprises when they're coming up to the dais with some of our requests. And then I hope we continue to see more developments at the Economic Development Committee that will have a lot of these items addressed there as well. So thank you.
Councilmember Syra.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to thank staff. I know this has been cooking for a long time, and so it's nice to kind of get to a finish line at the end of the year. I know you must all feel very relieved. I wanted to second my colleague's comments about the enclosed mailboxes. I know it seems like one of those things that might not feel important to a developer, but when cup holders were first introduced to cars, BMW said, we're never going to add that to our car. And then people stopped buying their cars because they only wanted cars with cup holders. So this feels like one of those essentials that I think larger complexes are really going to want. And I hope that our developers accommodate for that quickly. I am curious, I would like us to see, I would like to see us take a more ambitious stance on rezoning some of our lower density areas. I was hoping to see more of that in this proposal, but we're where we're at, and I'm hoping we can continue to have that conversation maybe in our next strategic roadmap plan. And with that, I'm really happy to support moving this forward. I'm happy to motion if that's all right.
Moved by Councilmember Syrup, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Andrews. Councilmember Bonilla.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, staff. I think this is, a very responsive set of recommendations that allows the community to know that we've listened to them and we're responsive. I know sitting on the Planning Commission, we, hear a lot about transportation, whether that be TDM, whether that be parking, how sort of unobjective the old design standards were. So, really making sure that we're objective and we're intentional about doing that. I think we accomplished that here. When I went back and looked at how involved the community's been, there's been over 10 meetings going back to January of, I think, 2022 or 2022, where, this was first heard by City Council, and through a whole series of meetings, we've gotten here today. I'll tell you, this feels like the gift that keeps giving, because I remember we had a work session on April 13th at the Planning Commission, and then on the 18th, it came here as a council member and had the discussion again. We had it in September. We had it here. Now we're having it again tonight. So when I was going through the documents, it really does capture all of the feedback that we've provided. So, I'm sad that I'm not the maker or the seconder of the motion, but I'm very happy to support it because it really does represent a lot of hard work. I want to thank the Planning Commission. I want to thank the community, and I want to thank, the planning staff for pulling this together. Even when I was, on the website, looking at these, design standards, even the way the website has been designed, where, you have the draft regulations, you have it broken up very well, including a parking analysis. And most importantly, for questions and comments, we actually have, you, Ms. Blanton, and Ms. Richard, your contact information. So if there's any questions about what we're here doing tonight or how we got to where we're at tonight, I encourage you to go to this website, to look through the different meetings that we've had and what the community has said, and to really see how responsive the city has been to what we've heard in the planning and zoning space as we continue to build out the heart of the Bay and make it a place that everyone wants to call home. So very happy with tonight's recommendations. Congratulations on what a wonderful way to end this meeting. Thank you.
Councilmember Roach.
Thank you. Thank you to our planning staff. I think I said that before. I just know all the work that went into it. I'm really pleased. I wanted to say a few comments to the community listening that I think that this plan really does try to find a balance between finding some local input on how we're building in Hayward and responding and having to respond to state laws that are really guiding us now. SB 9 that allows for subdividing lots, SB 35 that requires streamlining, and SB 330 that prohibits local jurisdictions from enacting new laws that would have an effect on reducing affordable housing. I think if I'm getting that right, that these laws, and on top of that, the state's priorities of building affordable housing and us needing to meet those, what they call RHNA numbers, means that we do have to approve a lot of projects that come our way. And that's now mandated by the state. So I think that what the planning stuff has done here with the community's input is try to find some way forward to allow us to have some influence while still responding to the pro-housing laws coming down from the state. So I just wanted to make that point, and I want to thank you again.
Councilmember Zermeño.
Thank you, Mayor. We have excellent staff in our city, and this is proof. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just wanted to mirror all the great comments from everybody up here. This has been a very long process, and Councilor Bonilla, you're right. I mean, I was looking at while you were looking at it, I was eye hustling your screen, and I was looking at all the dates, of all the work. Anyways, it is a nice way to close the year on this. So thank you very much for your work, and thank you for your patience. Moved by Councilmember Syrup, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Andrews. And if there are no questions, Madam City Clerk, if you can please take the roll for the last time in 2023.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. My pleasure. Councilmember Andrews.
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Goldstein.
Yes.
Councilmember Roach.
Yes.
Councilmember Syrup.
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño.
See.
Mayor Salinas.
Yes, and it's great to close the year on a unanimous vote on such a big document. So thank you very much. Okay. Our next item, moving on to our adjournment. Tonight, we're going to be adjourning on behalf of a wonderful person. She recently has passed away, and I know Councilmember Cermeño knew her well. But Mrs. Jody Gordon, Mrs. Jody Gordon, her and her husband, but Jody was just a wonderful person. I first met Jody through her work with Neighborhood Alert and Neighborhood Watch, and just an engaged family. She was always wonderful. She was always real pleasant to talk to. She was very aware of what was going on in the neighborhood. A lot of the neighbors turned to her for for guidance and for to be connected to the city and so forth. She was engaged. She was engaged on social media, and she was just a wonderful person. And over the years, it was always nice to go to her home and knock on her door, and she would always come out and talk, and we'd always talk about the neighborhood over there on Calaroga, and just a wonderful woman, and she will certainly be missed. And I know Councilmember Cermeño had a few words for her.
Thank you, Mayor. And one of the first things that I noticed about her was that she loved trees, as you can see by the photograph. But they did, her and her family moved to Hayward 1974. And right away, she started working. And where? We mentioned St. Rose Hospital today, and that's where she started working in 1975 as a pink lady. And then she took over the Christmas funding, raffling, took over the store at St. Rose Hospital, the gift shop. She designed it. She hired people. Then she worked with the nuns. At that time, it was run by nuns. So obviously, St. Rose was in her heart. That's something very, very special. Then she started working at she was always working in the Southgate neighborhood, which is more or less my neighborhood too, with the swimming pool, where she actually managed the swim club there. It's one of the few places in Hayward where we still have a pool, scheduling the lifeguards, being out there in the snack bar, all over the place. So she graduated up to Cal State. And up at Cal State, she started in political science and then went into the dean's office, mass communications. So she went from running the pool to a professorship at Cal State, at that time, Hayward. At the time, then she started becoming a little more conscious about the city. So she became a commissioner in the Human Services Commission, and she actually served 8 years. So this is a lady that really has Hayward running through her veins. It's really amazing. Restlessly, she then decided to look for some more things to do. So she joined the Martin Luther King Committee, where she would look at the essays, come up with the winners, and then be part of the actual celebrations. That wasn't all. She was an artist of sorts, so then she joined the Sun Gallery and the Hayward Arts Council. Truly an exemplary Hayward resident, and this is someone who actually was with us for 45 years, increasing our quality of life in our city. So something that I do miss her. I knocked on her door just like Mayor did, looking for how are you doing, and she would tell me what she needed and what the neighborhood needed, very point blank. Okay, so Jody Gordon, muchísimas gracias y que descanses en paz.
Thank you for those words, Councilmember Zermeño. Yes, she will certainly be missed, and God bless her and her family, and may she rest in peace. I wanted to wish staff, I wanted to wish everyone in the City of Hayward organization a happy holidays and a happy new year. And also wanted to, I know the chiefs have left, but I also wanted to let our men and women of the Hayward Police Department and in the fire department, particularly those that are working over the holidays on Christmas Day and on New Year's, please be safe. And thank you to all their families for their patience in having them work with us. So with that said, that concludes 2023 for the Hayward City Council. Meeting adjourned.